Hello and welcome to the CSD All Indicator Words with Dr. Whitaker podcast. I am excited to be the superintendent of the City Schools of Decatur and to welcome you to our podcast with the wonderful members of our superintendent suite. So who do we have here today? McCall?
Hi, Dr. Whitaker and viewing public in Decatur. I am McCall Hart Marunga, the new Chief Communications Officer.
Awesome. And Amanda?
Hey everyone, my name is Amanda Lynch and I am the new Chief of Staff in City Schools of Decatur.
And everyone, I am sure you know this person, Karen.
I am Karen Newton-Scott, Chief of School Performance.
Awesome. Why do we have this podcast? Why do we need to have a CS Decatur all in Words with Dr. Whitaker podcast?
Because we're all in, Dr. Whitaker. Everyone around this table and everyone that's watching is all in for a great school year and just a great conversation. We are having an opportunity to bring all stakeholders, students, teachers, staff, community members, parents, families, past and present, to the table as we move through the school year to talk about all of the things that are happening, all the things, right?
All the things.
And today we decided to kick it off with what happens in your day-to-day in the superintendent suite. When we are preparing for the day or preparing for the week, everyone around this table has some pretty candid conversations. And so that's what I thought. This is our table talk, right?
Okay. So this is our table talk. We are so just elated to do that, to have that table talk. So oftentimes in the superintendent suite, I will literally look at something on my computer and then say, okay, who do I need to talk to?
And the next thing that happens is the door flies open.
The door flies open.
Yes. And one of our names is called,
Amanda!
Karen,
Now,
what's going on?
What's going on? All indicator really simply means that we are going to be all in for our students, for our kids, for all of them. So it does not matter if you are what race you are. It doesn't matter of your ethnicity. It does not matter your gender or your orientation or anything else. We are all in for them.
What does it look like to be all in for Dr. Whitaker on a day when we have to be all in for kids? We've got 90 days that we're coming up to when you'll be giving your 90-day report. It's hard to believe it's been 90 days, right?
Feels like 90 days.
Feels like a little longer, right?
Well, Karen, when did the 90 days really start? Some people believe the 90 days started July 1st.
No, absolutely not. The 90 days started as soon as you were announced as superintendent. That was day one.
That was really day one?
That was day one. So the 90 days on traditional time would be July 1.
Okay.
But the work started the day you were named superintendent. And we were all invited into the room to meet her. And she looked very intently and listened to each one of us. And I knew then this is about to
You're
be
about
different.
to be all in.
Yeah.
You're going to be all in.
This is about to be different in a good way.
Okay.
Yes. I knew the work was starting right then. And before you know it, we were walking and canvassing each school in the school district in May. Wonderful time of the year.
So
What is in a
What is a
canvas?
canvas?
That was the question we all had. What in May, why would we ever be approaching a school? Because May is a time of the year where everyone is wrapping up the school year, right? Testing has ended. You're celebrating the students and all of their accomplishments and easing your way on into the summer. And so to hear that our new superintendent is going to bring everyone from cabinet with her, and we are going to be in a school for the full day and learn about all that they do, was overwhelming.
Oh.
What'd you learn, Dr. Whitaker, though, and Karen, when you all were in those conversations?
First, Karen, I'll let you tell me what you learned, and I'll tell you what I learned.
I learned that day one, I learned that we needed to do that more. I've been in Decatur 28 years, and I don't recall a time where the superintendent and the cabinet spent a full day in a school. So day one, I understood the necessity and the importance of doing that. But I was tired too.
And hungry.
And all the things, and not sure where we were headed with that. But it felt like something that we should be doing. It felt like the right thing to do.
Awesome. I will say allowing our principals to paint that picture on the canvas was so key for me, because as a superintendent, as a teacher, as a community member, you always look at data. You're saying, how are their students progressing? There are the milestones data. There is the data that's the level of proficiency of reading. And then there is the discipline data. There's all this data, and it all seems to be external. But oftentimes, you don't allow the school to paint that picture for you. And so coming in as the new superintendent, it was vital for me to do that. And I'm very grateful to the Board of Education for allowing me that time, because I did learn a couple of things. One of the things I learned is that everyone loves working in Decatur. When it comes to working in Decatur, the teachers really want to be there. When I think about the beginning of the year or our back to school update by HR and the few vacancies that we had, that was a clear indication of how much everyone wants to be in Decatur. That was the number one strength, the number one just way in which we completely were just glowing was that culture. Now, one thing you know about me, and you all know now, but everyone else also has learned, is where there is a glow, there is probably also a grow. And we identified those opportunities on those canvases as well. And we shared them back with the schools. And I didn't give the school a plan. Did you give the school a plan?
Did not.
Did not. But they were able to think about that plan over the course of the summer. And it was able to inform their school improvement plan for this year. Now, from a district level, what do we do with all of that data? We look for the patterns. We look for the trends. We are determining what types of professional learning we need to do. We're determining what we need to stop doing, and definitely determining what we might need to start doing.
So that data continues to resurface. One of the things that we've learned about Dr. Whitaker is that data does not go away. She has a repository. Is that what she calls it, Amanda?
Lots of data, all the data.
And so that's where you come in as chief of staff to help to make sure that we are using that data with fidelity and that it builds, right? So one piece of data has now become how many pieces of data, Amanda?
I can't even tell you how many. There are. We are always looking at all the data. And I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Whitaker for over a decade now, and have definitely learned a lot about her. But I think that one of the great things about her, that's one, that she is a data-driven decision maker, right? We're going to be collecting all that data, and that's exactly what the canvases were. But it also put the human aspect on it too, right? Because the other thing, she really is an instructional leader. Mm-hmm. And so you will see her in the buildings.
And on the roof.
Yep. And around the children, right. And at the community events, right? But it wasn't the canvas isn't over. We were in a building this week, walking classrooms and talking with teachers and engaging with students. And so it's ongoing. So when I say limitless data points, it's because we continue to collect, continue to look at data, continue to refine and make the right decisions that are going to help students.
And I remember seeing the canvas visits come up again when we did our leadership retreat, Dr. Whitaker, which is when I really came into the district. And we were there with the principals. We were there with the Wilson Center staff. We were there with cabinet, and we were all able to look at it together.
Yes.
Because you have always driven home that we are there to support the schools and the work of the schools. And so it really, even though we weren't there, Karen, we were hungry with you. We were tired with you as we looked at all that you all were able to accomplish for every single school in that data. And then we built upon it, and we've been building upon it ever since. And so a part of the work that I've done that with Dr. Whitaker that mirrors that very well is the work with the listening sessions.
Yes.
We didn't have to walk as much, but we've
not.
been all over Decatur with these listening sessions.
I would venture to say the listening session started with the Canvas visits.
Yes.
Because we had different groups of staff and students that we listened to about their experience in the schools, what they liked about their schools, what they wanted to see different in how their schools ran. The listening sessions formally for the community began after the school year began, but I would say they began with those Canvas visits, which was very insightful to
I was about to say, let's talk about some of the things that we've learned.
Yes. I would say there is definitely the love for those that work in the district. There is the love for those that work in the district. The culture is prime and ripe. Now, with that, there is also that opportunity to ensure we are building everyone's capacity. So we have to grow. And there are some areas that we need to grow in. We have done a lot of work in equity. And that equity work has been foundational to really get to the root of a lot of pain, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, and not only the city schools of Decatur, but I would say Decatur itself as a city has really embraced that work. But now it's time for that opportunity for action. It's not as much about the feeling, the beliefs, or even the thoughts about equity and change, but what are the student outcomes? So what is one of the things I learned with looking at all of that data, whether it's from the canvases, whether it's been in the listening sessions, is we have focused on the adults, but we must refocus on those students and the outcomes for all students. So I need to build the capacity. We need to build the capacity in our adults to do those things. Now, everyone knows I love education, that reading, that writing, that arithmetic, curriculum, instruction, and assessment, all of those
Always
good things.
the teacher.
Always the teacher. Always the teacher. But there are some things that are really a part of the business world that we have opportunity to grow in.
I was going to say, you are definitely all about capacity building. So we were laughing hard about working hard and not always
She's been building our capacity.
working hard, but I think that it's worthwhile to say the extra effort and the work that it takes comes because you're so inspired and because you are growing. Again, I'm in a unique position because I've gotten the chance to work under your leadership. And when you moved to City Schools of Decatur and I had the opportunity to come over, it was a no-brainer for me because I say that it's an easy decision to follow what I call super leaders. And I think that Dr. Whitaker is a super leader. And I think the reason why is because of the way that she stretches you. So as teachers, we talk about kids, meeting them where they're at and putting them just out of their comfort zone. And that's something that you do super well that makes you really uncomfortable in the moment sometimes when you're being asked to do some things. But then you come out on the other side because you've got that support in place. So she's not going to let you fail, right? Just a great teacher, right? But you're motivated and you want to work harder and you're going to come out stronger and better. And it's just wanting to be a part of that and growing. And I think that's something that you really do well for all of us around the table as we talk about hanging out in the superintendent suite, solving problems. So, yeah.
And I would say that one of the things that I will really stretch this district in doing is change management. So, first off, I'm a change. That's the first change.
A huge change.
A huge change.
Gigantic change. A good change.
but it is a change. But with that, there are certain steps and ways in which and strategies that you utilize so that everyone else comes along with you. So it would be one thing for me to go into a school in April or even September by myself or maybe with you. But it's another thing to take the Wilson Center leaders with me, because the change has to come with all of us. Another opportunity or another strategy really inside of change management is communications. And that's another change, but another growth opportunity for us in the city schools of Decatur. And so how do we best communicate to our stakeholders the changes that are being made, highlighting the things we are doing well, highlighting the things that we need to do better, and then how are we going to solve that together? That's what the listening session was about from the community perspective, but that was also really another version of it in the canvas. So now that we're at this point at the 90 days, it's what are we going to do? Well,
and you talked about this being your gathering. You talked about gym.
Yes.
And we've all by now been well versed in what gym is, right? All together now, gathering,
envisioning, and maximizing.
And so we were told that in this 90 days that we would just be gathering, Dr. Whitaker. But it feels like we've been gymming.
I think we have been gymming in lots of different ways, if you want to change the E to a Y too. But either
before
way,
we get into the gymming, there's a third way that we've been gathering, and that was the launch this week of your councils. So tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, now that was the highlight of the week. Actually, it was the highlight of the week, and I might almost say the highlight of the month, because we are right at the end of September today. I walk into the superintendent's office and suite and sit around a table of about 14 people pretty regularly, just about weekly. But never have I had a chance to sit around the table with second graders, third graders, fourth graders, and fifth graders. OMG, what an awesome feeling that was. So you always remind me, you were a teacher. You were a teacher. I said, yes. One of the students came in and he was having big emotions, because that's what he told me he was having. And I said to him, come on, you can sit right here next to me and we're going to work through those emotions. But I say that's what I need to continue to the work, is because I'm really all in for them. So as we are working through one of the most personal parts of being a teacher, which is grading. And we're working through that policy, are we not?
We are working through that policy.
One of the big things we learned going through our listening sessions.
Yes. But to gather feedback from a third grader around their understanding of grading, its purpose, its function, and its benefit, and what we could do better.
Amazing.
Amplifying student voice. That is how you amplify student voice. When I am provided unsolicited feedback on our calendar in the early release days, because someone just asked, why do we have those?
Right.
Because we just had one and had awesome questions about it. So it's as if we are producing students who are truly ready to think critically, think creatively, and work alongside of us for what they need. Not we're just working for them, but we're working with them. And that's what truly the E of we will envision together. The operationalized version of our strategic plan, all indicator, to maximize the outcomes for those students. So yes, we launched, and I started,
And I'm
of
sure
course,
the
with the
teachers,
students. I was about to say,
and I'm sure all of them and the parents, and they were all just as cute, right, Dr. Whitaker?
of course.
So who else did you have a council meeting with?
Yes, we launched our teacher advisory council as well, and also for PTO and PTSA presidents as well. And so that is one that we have not had traditionally in our district. We launched that, and then virtually we were able to bring our support staff together. So that would be representatives from transportation, from nutrition, from IT, all of those areas that are not certified, but are definitely the support to do what we do every single day. So those have launched. Over the next couple of weeks, I will have.
You have the secondary student council still coming up, so the 6th through 12th graders coming in, and SLTs have been working on identifying who would be the representative for the SCLT, so the local governance at the schools. So they'll be coming in as well. We're working to get all of those scheduled. So trying to just make sure we meet with the variety of diverse stakeholders, that we can continue to make sure that there are those feedback opportunities provided from each of the different stakeholder groups as we go on throughout the year.
And we have appreciated very much. I know I have. I've learned a lot about communications and the opportunities for growth. I've heard those loudly and clearly. We've also heard what it means to be a member of the Decatur community at large, and maybe not necessarily a parent or a student. So talk, Dr. Whitaker, about some of the people that you've met just around town.
Around town, I will say that I have met with each member of the DeKalb delegation. So that would be Senator Parent, as well as many of our representatives in the House, from Amari Crawford to Becky Evans, and also to Carla Drenner and to Mary Margaret Oliver. So in those conversations, I'm not only there to provide context of CSD, but I also bring the past 25 years in the metro,
right,
and all of the different ways I've served in the metro area to support all students once again. Additionally, I've met with
the City Hall quite a bit.
I have been to City Hall probably about once a week, and have met with our city commissioners as well as our Mayor Garrett. And then when I think about all of the other key individuals, so from Chief Phillips and Chief Washington of police and also fire. And then when I think about just key members of our community, Doug Faust from the Decatur Housing Authority.
Absolutely.
And then also our parent groups. So Beacon Hill Black Alliance, other key stakeholders who have been a part of All In and who have been all in before I was even a thought of when it came to the city schools of Decatur. So the board has really, truly said, Dr. Whitaker, these are the people I want you to meet with. I have extended the invitation, and they have happily sat down and we have talked. And for some of them, we have broken bread together and really have discussed the future of how we will always consider the city schools of Decatur to be a gem.
So we in the superintendent's office or suite have an opportunity also to engage with you. And I think one of the highlights for me has been getting to know Decatur.
Yes.
In my previous role of Atlanta Public Schools and working with the city of Atlanta and everything, we're right there, right? We're right next to it. In some places, we share a street. Decatur's on one side, Atlanta's on the other. I've really enjoyed, and that's been a highlight for me, is getting to know the people around the neighborhood, right? Who are the people in your neighborhood? Really getting to know in that 4 square miles, who's there, how engaged they are as a community in the schools. We know that great schools usually are in great communities, and I found that to absolutely be the case in Decatur. Agreed?
Yes.
I would absolutely agree. Decatur is an amazing community.
It's a gem, right?
It truly is.
It's a gem. And it's got great places to eat. So we've not gotten out to enjoy that as much with Dr. Whitaker. But we do DoorDash, right, Karen?
We DoorDash quite a bit. I've been in city schools of Decatur all of my career, 28 years. And so it is interesting to hear others' perspectives, because when you've been in a place, you only see that place, but how others view us and things that you see that are valuable, and then the areas that you see that we need to work on. It has been insightful for me to hear, yes, you guys really are a gem. There's so much that you have done. Our students have voices like no other. They aren't afraid to speak their minds.
No, they're not.
They share their ideas. That's something we cultivate from the K-2 schools. I would even say from the Early Childhood Learning Center, that's something that's cultivated. And so they show up for student council with their ideas ready, and they're ready to share those ideas. And so to hear others see that, appreciate that, and value that feels good. And then to hear, I also see these areas that can make this place even better. So that has been refreshing. I think we have a great think tank. We operate as a team, those who are new to the team, those who have been around like myself. Somehow, some way, we have just gelled.
Yes.
And it didn't take some extra effort. We didn't spend hours pulling ropes and doing a whole lot of those team building outside things that I don't tend to appreciate.
Agreed.
So I'm happy we were not subjected to too much of that. But somehow it has been refreshing to work as a team and work on a team that values the work that has been done, and a team that's willing to pull together to do the work that's ahead of us. So I've really appreciated that.
I couldn't agree more. I think it's really the idea of community really transcends all things, right? Our schools are a great community. Decatur's a great community. We at Wilson Center work together as a community. And that teamwork and that kind of just the way that we all fell into, we don't just work well together, we like each other. And that makes a big difference as well.
And support each other. The level of support that we've received, you only see 3 of the cabinet members around this table. Don't worry, you'll see the rest. So Sergio, the rest of you, get ready. Your time is coming. But obviously coming into a new situation, transition is not always smooth. And we really have had a smooth transition because of the support of everyone in the district. And I don't think that there's been one time where we made a phone call, Dr. Whitaker, to say we'd like to meet with you, and someone said, I don't want to meet with you. You've also had an opportunity to work with the county government.
Yes.
Quite a bit.
Yes, I have. I've been a part of what would be the DeKalb County Commissioner. I've met also with CEO Thurman. I have been to the DeKalb Chamber of Commerce, their Decatur Business Association. I probably could not name them all, but I will
in 90
say,
days.
And as Amanda has reminded me often, 90 days, Jima, would also include weekends at this point.
And mornings and evenings. And I always laugh and tell people she's really serious about two-way communications, because you can email her and she will make sure we get that email Saturday, Sunday, 4 in the morning, 10 at night. And then she follows up with us to make sure that we close that loop, which is really important in making sure that we're responsive, that we're closing the loop, and that the community and the schools and the students can see that we really are moving and working on their behalf on a daily basis, 7 days a week.
Nightly. Morningly. That's not a word. I know that's not a word.
How do we best define all in? That's my question for each one of you. How do you live and define all in your role?
Good question. I don't know that I have thought about not being all in. From the moment I started working in Decatur, I worked at Oakhurst, which wasn't predominantly black. It was all black. And it was a necessity that we be all in order for students to get everything that they needed, whatever that was. Wasn't just about reading, writing, and arithmetic, but if they needed something else, we were all in to do that. I feel like my training ground was all in. But to have it as the mantra for the district and all that we do, means that everyone is accountable for working in that way. And everyone sees the necessity in working that way, that it isn't unique to one school or one school of thought, but that's what's needed in education for everyone to be all in. So for me, it's where I started, and I'm so happy to be back in that place where we're saying all in again.
Oh, awesome.
And that part.
And that part.
And that part.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what I would add is when I saw the strategic plan and I saw all in, I was hard eyes, all excited, because I'm like, this is a place where I can live my values. This is a place where I can really resonates with my beliefs. I think about my own experience, and I came initially to education through Teach for America. Right. And the idea is that all students deserve the opportunity to attain an excellent education really is important to me. And I have taught in downtown Atlanta. I have taught just over the border from City Schools to Decatur. I helped open Springdale Park in Atlanta Public Schools. I have taught EIP. I was a gifted teacher for many years. So I have worked with students who are diverse in so many ways and have so many different learning needs. So when I think of all in, and Dr. Whitaker, we've heard you a lot say, when all really means all. And that just resonates so much, because every student, as a mother, as a teacher, it is so important that every student has equal opportunity. Every student, all means all. And it's great to be here to place again with something that just resonates.
Absolutely.
And just excites you every day. It keeps you going.
Same thing with me. When I interviewed with Dr. Whitaker, I told her that my mantra was to create opportunity, access, and equity for all. And so to have the opportunity to do that every day, and I do enjoy touching all of the pieces in the communications role. I work with everyone on the cabinet. I work with the principals. I work with people in the Wilson Center. I work with people on the operations team. The bus drivers and I see each other. The facilities workers and I see each other. The custodians, we show up, and they're like, because we see them. And in my work, it's being able to make sure people truly feel seen and feel heard. And that has been my focus. If you are a third grader, if you are a parent, if you are an elected official, because that's also on my team, if you're in the Wilson Center, and really bridging the conversation between the central office, the Wilson Center, and making sure that we are doing a better job of making those connections and collaborations between the Wilson Center and schools, and between City Schools of Decatur and partners and legislators and all of the people that are going to impact student outcomes. And so for me, when we say all in, it means bringing everyone to the table, refocusing on student issues and student outcomes, even though there are a lot of different pieces that come in with that, but making sure that we are all in to making sure that students, no matter what their gender identity is, no matter ethnicity, their learning style, whether or not they're elementary, whether or not they're early learning or high school, and the high school has really been rocking out this 90 days. Yes, but we've learned a lot about what they want to hear as students, what they want to see, and what will make them feel safe, seen, and successful.
Yes, definitely. I just want to say thank you and thank you. Not only for being here on the podcast, but thank you for what you do every single day. Everyone sees that, yes, I am the superintendent. However, I know I could not be fully all in if I didn't have all of you.
We're all in for you too.
We're all in, and go Bulldogs.
Yes, and go Bulldogs. So yes, thank you guys for coming today and being a part of our podcast. And thank you for this great launch of this first 90 days. And I'm ready for the next 90 and the next 90 and the next 90.
And we're ready.
And we'll be all in on that too.
Yes. Thank you guys. Good night.